I was the secondary daughter in our family, raised from childhood by my legitimate elder sister. In my past life, she married the Regent Prince, a man incapable of fulfilling his marital duties. She wept herself to sleep night after night, succumbing to depression until her death. I married the top scholar, born into poverty. He scorned me as coarse and vulgar. I called him a stuffy pedant. Our days were filled with constant chaos and strife. This lifetime, both my elder sister and I were reborn. She asked, "Want to swap?" I agreed instantly, swap. Main text: when the imperial decree for an arranged marriage arrived, my elder sister sighed deeply. I knew immediately she had also been reborn. In my previous life, she joyfully boarded the wedding palanquin, becoming the esteemed Regent Prince's consort. But she grew despondent and passed away before 30. Wasn't the Regent Prince good? I asked curiously. Good? What's good about him? My elder sister spat. He's nothing but a silver-plated wax gun, all show and no substance. She picked up her handkerchief and began weeping again. What does his inadequacy have to do with us? I tried to comfort her. My elder sister blushed fiercely, saying I hadn't been married and couldn't possibly understand. How could I not understand? In my previous life, I too had been married. My father, eager to demonstrate his appreciation for talent and leveraging his position as chancellor, had forcibly betrothed me, his concubine-born daughter, to Zhang Rang, the top scholar of the imperial examination. Though Zhang Rang was handsome, he was self-righteous and stubborn, making little headway in official circles. My father looked down on me, a concubine's daughter, and couldn't be bothered to help him. Zhang Rang and I clashed constantly, finding each other unbearable. As the saying goes, poor couples face 100 sorrows, and our days were filled with constant strife. Later, he took a concubine, fathering 2 children in 3 years, deliberately flaunting his success in my face. Those memories were too painful to revisit. My elder sister seized my arm, her eyes pleading, "Imperial decree cannot be defied. Since you dislike Zhang Rang, why not let me take your place? You could become the Regent Prince's consort instead. What say you?" My sister possessed a gentle nature. If she married the Regent Prince as in my past life, she'd likely meet the same fate, a life of tears and a sorrowful end. How could I watch her walk into that fire pit again? I agreed immediately, fine. My birth mother was of lowly birth and passed away when I was young. My father's heart was entirely in the court. My stepmother disliked me and ordered me to stay out of her sight. Only my elder sister treated me kindly. She gave me her outgrown clothes, plead for leniency when I was punished, and scold the sycophantic maids and matrons who bullied me. But more often than not, she couldn't spare the time for me. She had to master music, chess, calligraphy, painting, poetry, literature, and etiquette to become the paragon of a noble lady. For me, having food to eat, clothes to wear, and freedom from abuse was enough. Whether a man loved me or touched me, I couldn't care less. And so, on the same day, my elder sister and I were married. Hidden beneath our veils, we climbed into each other's bridal palanquins. From that day on, we exchanged names. I became Shinshuyue, and she became Shinwanqing. Moonlight shone like molten silver, red candles burned brightly. The Regent Prince's mansion was filled with festive cheer. Hungry, I rummaged under the bedding for red dates, longan, and peanuts, crunching them noisily. By the time the regent entered, I had stashed the leftover shells and sat poised on the wedding bed. The veil lifted, and I gazed at the man before me with hopeful eyes. His name was Gu Jingyan, the young emperor's own uncle, the man who would provide for me henceforth. His face was like carved jade, his posture erect, though he harbored an unspoken ailment. He was utterly perfect. The moment he saw me, Gu Jingyan's expression turned stunned. "It's you?" he blurted out. I was taken aback. "Has your highness seen me before?" "No." An unreadable emotion flickered in Gu Jingyan's eyes, a half-smile playing on his lips. That smile suddenly made me feel uneasy, as if I'd been exposed. Yet I was utterly certain he had never seen me or my elder sister. Gu Jingyan sat beside me on the bed, his jade-white, slender hand slowly drawing near, lightly brushing against my cheek. As if he intended to touch me. My entire body stiffened, sitting alert and guarded. Before our marriage, my sister and I had shared experiences from our past lives. She said Gu Jingyan was cold-hearted and emotionless, taciturn, and utterly disinterested in women. He'd even bluntly told my elder sister, "This prince is incapable of consummating the marriage. You needn't waste your thoughts on me." Recalling this, my heart settled a little. Men, after all, wouldn't readily admit their shortcomings. They'd put on a show first, only then could he feign disinterest to save face. I'd see just how far he could take this charade. Gu Jingyan's fingertips slowly touched my lips, then gently brushed across them. He stared at his finger, made a couple of tisk sounds, and smiled. My vision went dark. It was smeared with my bright red lipstick and a thin layer of pink peanut skin. "Did you like it?" he asked. Embarrassed beyond measure, I decided to throw caution to the wind and flipped back the quilt to show him. Would I eat so much if I didn't like it? Gu Jingyan stifled a laugh, his breath warm against my ear, though his tone held not a shred of sincerity. "The fruit symbolizes bearing noble offspring. Seems the consort is eager to give this prince heirs." My gaze involuntarily drifted to a certain part of his body, my eyes brimming with pity. He was still pretending. The next moment, however, he shoved me onto the bed. His hard, powerful frame pressed down, blocking out the light. Candlelight flickered, casting a sea of festive red. He undid my sash with brutal force, looking as if he intended to devour me whole. He was actually going through with it. I shrieked in terror, Your servant is unwell. Please spare me, Your Highness." Only then did his ravenous hands pause. Gu Jingyan remained in his prone position, gazing at me with leisurely composure. "If the princess consort is unwell in the future, you must speak up promptly." Yes. I would certainly be unwell frequently from now on. Only after Gu Jingyan left did it dawn on me. He deliberately forced me to beg for mercy, justifying his departure. What a scheming man! I slept soundly that night. The next day, accompanying him to the palace, the young emperor politely addressed me as Auntie. In that moment, I realized just how formidable my status had become. Good times were coming. The regent's mansion boasted picturesque scenery, with pavilions and towers complementing each other beautifully. After eating my fill, I wove flowers picked from the back garden into a wreath and placed it on my head. Spinning, leaping, admiring myself, humming a tune. When play grew tiresome, I soaked a giant watermelon in the pond of the mansion's rear garden, then lay in a rocking chair beneath the shade of trees to cool off. Xiao Chui fanned me with a palm leaf fan, scolding me with exasperation. "On your wedding night, the prince didn't consummate the marriage with you, and you still have the heart to play." I shrugged indifferently. He didn't do his part. It's not that I didn't want to serve him. Don't blame me. Xiao Chui was my elder sister's maid. She'd never shown me much respect. When my sister remarried, she worried her parents might notice something amiss, so she had Xiao Chui follow me instead. Truth be told, I was more worried about my elder sister now. Zhang Rang wasn't a bad person, but he'd picked up all the pretentious habits of a scholar. I recall in my previous life, also on our wedding night, I waited so long in the bridal chamber that hunger overcame me. I reached under the bedding for some nuts to eat. When Zhang Rang entered the room, he caught me with my mouth wide open, cracking peanuts. His expression darkened instantly, as if deeply insulted. Yet he restrained his anger and lectured me in his pedantic way. "Second Miss Shin, today is our wedding. It is my duty to lift your veil. Did I do something to offend you that you would remove it yourself before I could?" I reasoned back. I was just hungry. Don't read too much into it. If you insist, I'll cover myself again, and you can lift it properly. Zhang Rang fumed. Marriage is a solemn occasion. Every ritual must be observed without error. Miss Shin's careless disregard clearly shows she holds no respect for this Zhang. My anger boiled over. I flung the peanut shells to the ground and snapped. "It's just a snack. You feasted your fill in the front courtyard, but I've gone all day without food. If I don't eat now, I'll starve until tomorrow morning, and that's no pleasant prospect. Zhang, I'm just eating a few fruits. It's not like I'm breaking any heavenly laws. Is this really worth such a fuss?" His face flushed crimson with pent-up anger. His hand trembled as he pointed at me, his voice thick with disappointment. I truly believed a daughter from a distinguished family would be most meticulous in etiquette. Yet you. He stammered on and on with that you. I stuck out my tongue and made a face at him. Flushed with fury, he turned pale and stormed off on the spot. From that day on, we never had a moment's peace. He nitpicked at every minor detail, endlessly harping on my faults. Finally, he smashed plates and bowls, while I tore up the poems he'd just written, neither of us willing to back down. Thankfully, this lifetime has finally freed me from him. Judging the timing right, I fished out the watermelon chilled in the water. With a satisfying crack, I split the round, plump melon in half. Scooping out chunks with a spoon, I savored the cool, refreshing flesh. Want some? I offered the other half to Xiao Chui. Xiao Chui rolled her eyes. Humph. Why the attitude? I'm the Regent's consort now. That position clearly belongs to the eldest young miss. Xiao Chui's eyes welled up with tears. I don't understand what Miss was thinking, giving up the Regent Prince's consort position for you, marrying that poor scholar-turned-top-ranking graduate. Holding my half of the watermelon, I mused, you just don't get it. She was used to being a young miss, living in luxury since childhood, never having to worry about anything. She wanted to pursue a passionate, dramatic love. How does that saying go? Ah, yes, when the belly is full, the mind turns to lust. But I'm different. I can barely afford food and clothing, how could I have energy for anything else? I married into this family just to put food on the table. I motioned for her to lean closer, signaling a secret. Xiao Cui's eyes widened. What? The Regent Prince isn't up to par? I jumped up and covered her mouth. Why are you shouting so loud? You fool! Xiao Cui gasped for air under my hand, her face turning pale. The Regent Prince is no good, that's a blessing. It saves this lady from having to serve him later. Got it? I wasn't sure if she'd understood, but she kept waving her arms and squealing. That little brat has such a poor attitude, can't handle even a minor setback. I shook my head helplessly and released her. Turning around, I found Gu Jingyan sitting in the rocking chair I'd just vacated, munching on watermelon with relish. The watermelon is quite good, he praised sincerely. So Xiao Chui had been squealing because she'd spotted Gu Jingyan behind me. My legs instantly went weak. Tripped by something unseen, I stumbled forward uncontrollably. His long arm shot out, wrapping around my waist, pulling me into a half-reclining position against his chest. Gu Jingyan wore a deep purple brocade robe, his long hair gathered by a jade crown, radiating pure nobility. Even viewed from the angle of his jawline, his face was flawless, beyond reproach. I dared not breathe loudly. Like fish meat on a cutting board, waiting to be carved. Xiao Chui, sensing trouble, had already slipped away. Gu Jingyan wore a faint smile as he leisurely scooped a spoonful of watermelon flesh and held it to my lips. Open your mouth. Numbly, I opened my mouth and swallowed. Gu Jingyan drew me closer into his embrace, asking with a smile, just now, Your Highness, where did I fall short? Terrified, I replied insincerely, Your Highness, you are perfect in every way. Satisfied, he fed me another spoonful of watermelon. After I chewed a few times, he placed his hand near my lips. Trembling, I spat the seeds into his palm. I watched as he elegantly wiped the moisture from his hand with a white cloth. His fingers were long and beautiful. The motion of wiping his hands resembled an executioner cleaning his blade before taking a life. Pressed tightly against his chest, I could feel the rise and fall of his ribcage and his gradually deepening breaths. I feared I was about to die. Time stretched on and on. He said nothing. The silence was broken only by the chirping of cicadas in the trees. Finally, he merely used his handkerchief to wipe the corner of my mouth. The day after tomorrow is your return to your parents' home. Don't forget. These past 2 nights, Gu Jingyan still hadn't come to my room. But the course of events had already taken a strange turn. In my previous life, when my elder sister returned to her parents' home, Gu Jingyan hadn't accompanied her. I didn't know where things had gone wrong, but his attitude toward me was extremely peculiar. I had no idea how much of my conversation with Xiao Chui he had overheard. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Upon returning to the Shin residence, my elder sister and Zhang Rang had already arrived. Father and stepmother clearly knew about our arranged marriage swap, yet they couldn't erupt on the spot. Instead, they concealed their emotions, each wearing an expression more telling than the last. My elder sister secretly winked at me and performed a formal bow. "Sister, I hope you are well." Taking advantage of her, I affectionately called her little sister. After just a few days apart, my elder sister's complexion had improved remarkably, rosy cheeks, eyes like spring water, her demeanor now radiating the alluring charm of a mature woman. I stole a glance at Zhang Rang, my husband from my previous life. He was gazing at my elder sister with eyes brimming with smiles, his gaze practically glued to her. That was a look I could never have imagined in my previous life. A pang of sorrow flashed through my heart. I truly was inferior to my elder sister in every way. Men preferred quiet, refined women like her. I sighed, only to turn and find Gu Jingyan staring at me the entire time, his expression displeased. Startled, I dared not look at Zhang Rang again. Later, when father took tea with his two sons-in-law, my elder sister and I followed our stepmother into the inner chambers, only to be severely reprimanded. My elder sister stepped in front of me, taking all the blame upon herself. Wanching knew nothing of this. "It was all my doing. The deed is already done. My husband treats me well, and I am fond of him too. Though his origins are humble, he is well-read and possesses an unyielding integrity, a rare gentleman in this world." I was utterly bewildered. Could the pedantic and rigid Zhang Rang truly hold such favor in her heart? My mother-in-law's face turned green with fury. She wanted to vent her anger on me, but since I was already the regent's consort, she could only swallow her rage. After lunch, I scampered off to the pavilion to find my elder sister. But just as I reached the wisteria arbor, that rascal Zhang Rang beat me to it. The moment my sister saw him, her eyes lit up. Nestling against him like a little bird, she asked in a sweet voice, "Husband, now that you've met my elder sister, what do you think of her?" Zhang Rang snorted coldly, his tone dismissive. "As the Regent Prince's consort is the lady's elder sister, I ought not to speak lightly. But since the lady asks, I can only share this privately." "Speak." Though she is the legitimate daughter, she lacks even a shred of the grace befitting a lady of noble birth. Her speech and conduct are coarse, her manners lacking. Compared to the well-read and refined lady, she is worlds apart. Thank goodness I married you. Had I married her, I'd have been cursed for 8 lifetimes. Fury clenched my fists, and the urge to argue with him surged again. My elder sister covered his mouth, scolding playfully, "We sisters are close. You're forbidden to speak ill of her from now on." "Fine. But my heart belongs only to you, my lady. You have no reason to be jealous of anyone." They exchanged a loving glance, their eyes brimming with affection, a genuine connection. At first, they merely embraced, but soon their passion grew uncontrollable. Before they knew it, their lips met. The eldest sister stood on tiptoe, tilting her head back as she wrapped her arms around Zhang Rang's neck. Her lovely face flushed slightly as she closed her eyes, lost in the moment. Zhang Rang's hands rested on her slender waist, his eyelashes fluttering slightly as his breathing grew heavy. I couldn't bear to watch any longer and quickly turned away. But I collided with a solid chest, nearly making me scream. Gu Jingyan always appeared out of nowhere. I frowned, looking at him with obvious annoyance. Look, what are you looking at? Don't you know you shouldn't watch what's behind you?" Gu Jingyan merely glanced back before his gaze settled on me again. "Jealous?" he asked in a hushed voice. Before I could decipher his meaning, he had already dragged me angrily a good distance away, to a spot where we wouldn't disturb others. The summer air was stifling, the scent of lotus flowers faintly sweet, cicadas dozing in the trees. His grip on my wrist hurt, and I yanked my arm free. "What the hell are you doing?" Seeing that couple so lovey-dovey, so deeply devoted, he swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Did it make you envious? Jealous? Jealous? Ever since we entered the front hall, your eyes haven't left Zhang Rang. Then you snuck off to the pavilion to peek. Can't you let him go?" I gave a bitter smile. How could that be? Gu Jingyan, however, wore a stern expression, radiating an imposing presence without needing to raise his voice. "Shin Wanqing, look me in the eyes and answer this prince. I truly don't. I insisted. I was just about to share some sisterly secrets when Zhang Rang suddenly appeared. Watching Gu Jingyan's eyes narrow, I finally realized something was wrong. He was testing me. My name is Shen Wanqing. When he called my true name, I showed no reaction. I'd given myself away. My heart skipped a beat. I wanted to slap myself hard. Your Highness, this is a long story. It's all my fault. My legs felt weak, and I was on the verge of tears. I couldn't possibly explain that both my elder sister and I had been reborn, and she despised him for his impotence, wanting to marry someone capable this lifetime. All I could say was, I coveted wealth and power, desperate to climb the Regent Prince's favor. I deceived my elder sister, telling her how wonderful Zhang Rang was, tricking her into marrying him. Gu Jingyan uttered a dismissive "oh," raising an eyebrow as he pressed further. Go on then. Tell me, just how wonderful was Zhang Rang? I couldn't fabricate any more lies. I collapsed to my knees with a thud. Your Highness, spare my life. All speak of the Regent Prince as a prodigy, barely 20 years old, yet he holds absolute power. No one in court or the realm dares defy him. Beneath his graceful, orchid-like appearance lies a ruthless heart, decisive in slaughter and conquest. I knew escape was impossible. How does your Highness intend to deal with me? Punishing you alone won't suffice. He stood with one hand behind his back, idly twirling a jade ring on his index finger as he paced back and forth before me. Defying imperial orders, deceiving the sovereign, deceiving this prince, not a single soul in the Shen household will escape punishment. My face drained of color, my body swaying on the verge of collapse, yet I summoned my last ounce of courage to speak. Do with the others as you will, Your Highness. But could you spare my sister? Gu Jingyan crouched down, his gaze level with mine. So protective of Shen Shuiwei? From childhood to now, my sister is the only one who has ever been kind to me. Has this prince not treated you well? After becoming the Regent Prince's consort, my belly grew plump with food, my body draped in brocades and silks, my hair adorned with golden hairpins and step-shaking ornaments. I traveled in fragrant carriages beneath ornate canopies, living in unimaginable luxury. Though this fortune lasted but 3 short days, I could die without regret. I nodded vigorously, acknowledging this fleeting happiness. Your Highness has been kind to me. It was my fault for deceiving you. Gu Jingyan straightened up. His icy expression gradually melted like a glacier, his features softening to reveal a touch of radiant beauty. I momentarily forgot to look away. Why are you still kneeling? He sighed softly, ruffling my hair. Come home with me, poor thing. By the time I snapped back to reality, he was already several steps ahead. I followed closely behind, doubting my own ears. Unable to believe it, I asked him for confirmation. Your Highness already knows the truth, yet you still want me to come back? What else would I do? He replied impatiently. I glanced toward the pavilion. Hidden among the flowering trees, 2 figures could be vaguely seen clinging to each other. I lowered my head, picking at my nails, muttering softly, true. My sister probably can't go back with you. Before leaving, my elder sister's eyes brimmed with tears. May father and mother cherish your health. Do not worry about your daughter. I shall return often to visit. My stepmother was deeply moved. Father looked at me, signaling I should say something too. I wasn't one for flowery words, so I simply replied, I'll do the same. Father and the stepmother escorted us all the way from the front hall to the door. Compared to the distance between Gu Jingyan and me, the couple behind us seemed inseparably close. Zhang Rang held my elder sister's arm, calling her Wanqing with every breath. Wanqing, if you ever miss home, I'll come back with you anytime. Wanqing, what would you like to eat tonight? Your husband will cook personally. Hearing this, I felt goosebumps rising all over my body. Gu Jingyan cleared his throat softly, halting abruptly. He addressed his legitimate sister with a gentle smile. This prince believes the name Wanqing suits my consort better. Perhaps you sisters should consider exchanging names. My elder sister froze for a moment before suddenly understanding. She nodded approvingly at me. Father and my legitimate mother exchanged a knowing glance, silently relieved. The Regent Prince had clearly learned the truth and was no longer pursuing the matter. But Zhang Rang refused to accept it. On what grounds? He stormed forward to argue with Gu Jingyan. Though Wanqing is my concubine-born daughter, to me she is a priceless treasure without equal in this world. My official rank may be low, but I will not tolerate anyone mistreating her. Even if you are the regent, second only to the emperor himself, you cannot arbitrarily strip my wife of her maiden name. He held his head high, glaring at Gu Jingyan through gritted teeth. Gu Jingyan drew a long breath, his cold gaze fixed on Zhang Rang, at a loss for words. That was Zhang Rang for you. Once his temper flared, he was as stubborn as a mule, impossible to restrain. In my past life, when I tried to help him change this awful habit, he not only took my good intentions as an insult but grew even more ill-tempered, alienating people everywhere in official circles. My elder sister tugged at Zhang Rang's sleeve. Husband, please calm down. I'll explain everything when we get home. I assumed she'd get a scolding and was ready to defend her. But to my surprise, Zhang Rang, who never let up when he had the upper hand, immediately softened upon hearing her words. He took her hand and murmured gently, "Very well, I'll listen to my wife." I was utterly dumbfounded. The carriage rocked gently as Gu Jingyan leaned back against the cushions, eyes closed in quiet repose. I sat obediently by his side, holding my breath. My elder sister had deliberately returned to the Shin residence ahead of me to prepare our parents. Being cautious by nature, they had already issued strict orders to everyone not to give anything away. The only possibility was that Gu Jingyan had overheard my conversation with Xiao Chui that day. Did that mean he also heard me mention his hidden ailment? Shin Wanqing, what are you thinking? Gu Jingyan suddenly spoke. Startled, I quickly laughed it off. I was just figuring out that Zhang Ring must know by now that he actually married my elder sister, Shin Shuyue, not me. Heh. Gu Jingyan leaned forward, his brow furrowing. You still can't let him go? No, no, no. I waved my hands repeatedly. He cherishes my sister, willing to stand up for her even at the risk of offending the prince. I'm genuinely happy she found such a good man. Gu Jingyan's frown deepened. So you're implying I'm inferior to Zhang Rang, and marrying me would be beneath you? I continued waving, whispering softly, I'd gladly trade places with my sister, because I want to marry your highness. His expression softened slightly. He patted the seat beside him, gesturing for me to draw closer. After a long moment, he spoke in a cold, clear voice, From now on, you shall be the Regent Prince's consort in good faith, managing the household affairs. You must not covet another. He accepted me. Given his illness, he likely didn't demand much from his consort, only loyalty. Beaming, I promised, Your Highness may rest assured. From now on, you alone occupy my heart. The regent's residence is my only home. Gu Jingyan gave a light cough, turning his head away, his cheeks flushing slightly. In my previous life, Zhang Rang never entrusted me with managing the household affairs. He despised my carelessness and lack of accounting training, fearing I'd mismanage his ledgers. He preferred handling everything personally, burning the midnight oil by candlelight, fingers flying over the abacus. During ancestral ceremonies, he'd confess before the Zhang family's ancestral tablets, my fault for marrying an unworthy wife. On the surface, it was self-reflection, but in truth, it was a veiled insult directed at me. Yet in this life, Gu Jingyan entrusted the vast estate of the regent's mansion to my care without hesitation, instructing the steward to teach me every detail of managing the household. I was filled with ambition and determination, vowing not to betray his trust. Past the second watch of the night, drowsiness made me nod off repeatedly until I finally drifted into sleep. Only to awaken as my body grew light, carried by Gu Jingyan. He removed the ledger from my lap and murmured gently, Why push yourself so hard? Learn more tomorrow. Sleep now. My eyelids drooped as I grumbled, If my elder sister can master it, so can I. I can't let you feel shortchanged by marrying me. Quite right. You mustn't shortchange this prince. Gu Jingyan placed me on the inner side of the bed and pulled the quilt over me. Then he removed his own shoes and socks, lay down naturally on the outer side, pulled another quilt over himself, and closed his eyes. I was instantly wide awake. Gu Jingyan was lying right beside me? He was just going to sleep like this? Your Highness? Your Highness? I called out several times and nudged him twice, but he didn't stir. He fell asleep so quickly. Having a man suddenly appear beside my pillow felt unfamiliar. I couldn't sleep for the first half of the night. I finally drifted off in the latter half. I convinced myself. First, Gu Jingyan was my nominal husband. If he never shared my bed, rumors would inevitably spread throughout the mansion, wounding his pride. Second, he wasn't really a man, he couldn't do anything to me. I'd just treat it like sleeping with a close sister. From that night onward, Gu Jingyan lay beside me every evening. He was restless in his sleep. Sometimes a slight turn of his body would accidentally pull me into his embrace, and I couldn't break free no matter how I struggled. Seeing his face up close, his sword-like eyebrows were as dark as ink, his nose high and straight. In his sleep, he was much more docile than during the day. I stared at him, mesmerized, until it suddenly dawned on me that my face was too close to his, so close I could clearly hear his breath. In my previous life, my elder sister married him. She yearned for marital harmony, for children to bring joy to their home, and actively sought his affection. Gu Jingyan remained perpetually distant, never sharing a bed with her. Unable to bear it, she confronted him directly. Only then did he reluctantly reveal the reason. I have an ailment that prevents consummation. If you refuse, I can draft divorce papers. You may remarry freely thereafter. The elder sister had initially agreed. But their father declared, the Prime Minister's household does not keep discarded women. If you divorce him, you might as well throw yourself to your death to spare the family's reputation. It would be more accurate to say that rather than dying of depression from Gu Jingyan's neglect, she was driven to despair by her father's relentless pressure, leaving her no way out. With nowhere else to go, the eldest sister had no choice but to remain in the regent's residence. Even so, Gu Jingyan always maintained the proper decorum expected of a prince's consort, never once mistreating her in private. Looking back now, I feel pity for my elder sister, and I feel pity for Gu Jingyan. Held in Gu Jingyan's embrace, I could feel the rhythm of his heartbeat. His eyelashes were long, raven-feathered lashes that framed his beautiful, auspicious phoenix eyes. His breathing was steady, he was fast asleep. I wrapped my arms around him and whispered softly, "Your physical limitations are not your fault. In my heart, you are flawless. As long as you don't reject me, I'm willing to stay by your side for the rest of my life." After saying that, I fell asleep. From that day onward, Gu Jingyan's gaze toward me grew even more peculiar. My elder sister sent word through her attendants, she was pregnant. In my previous life, her greatest regret had been not having children. This lifetime, her wish had finally come true. Overjoyed, I rushed to the study to share the news with Gu Jingyan. But just as the words were about to leave my mouth, I suddenly realized I couldn't mention this in front of him. Bringing it up would only hurt him. Gu Jingyan leaned back in his pearwood chair, looking quite content. Spotting me, he set his teacup aside and asked with a smile, "What has you so cheerful?" Hands clasped behind my back, I swayed over to him. "I've gone through every ledger in the household accounts and sorted everything out. Managing the finances for you won't be a problem from now on." "Wanqing, you're truly brilliant." He spread his arms wide, his eyes sparkling. "Come here. I'll reward you." Having been embraced by him countless times before, I naturally sat on his lap, asking what good things he'd reward me with. He pulled me close, then suddenly leaned down and captured my lips with a kiss. My mind went blank. My hands didn't know where to go as I stared wide-eyed at the face mere inches from mine. Gu Jingyan's eyes were closed, his lashes fluttering lightly, his breath uneven. My heart pounded wildly. I never thought to push him away, but I also didn't know how to respond, so I just held my breath tightly. Later, I felt something pressing against my lower back and assumed it was an ornament or something from his clothes. I squirmed restlessly in his embrace a couple of times, instinctively reaching down to grab it and muttered, "What is this?" "It's poking me." His eyes snapped open, his face flushing crimson. By the time I registered what had happened, both of us froze. After a moment of locked gazes, I scrambled off him, scrambling and stumbling as I fled the room. A maid entered to serve tea and pastries, colliding with me head-on. The tray of sweets shattered with a crash across the floor. She knelt on the floor, crying out, "Your Highness, please forgive me." I didn't wait for her to rise, racing back to my room, my cheeks burning. Could my elder sister have Lied to me? That couldn't be. Had I misread the situation? But I was too thin-skinned to ask about it, unable to face the truth. For the next few days, I deliberately avoided him, taking Xiaochui shopping during the day. Gu Jingyan said the household wasn't short of money, but I still wanted to save him some. I shopped around, comparing prices and haggling. Even though I bought little, the carriage was always packed to the brim. At night, I'd crawl into bed early. The moment I heard Gu Jingyan's footsteps, I'd immediately close my eyes and pretend to be asleep. He'd been quite busy lately, sometimes not returning until after midnight. That night, half asleep, I heard him undressing and climbing into bed. I was so nervous I didn't know what to do. But he just lay down quietly and said, "Things will be chaotic outside tomorrow. Don't go shopping." "Okay, fine." Gu Jingyan kissed my forehead, making no further advances. The next day, the Wei Duke's mansion was raided. The Wei Duke was the emperor's maternal uncle, the Empress Dowager's elder brother, descended from 4 generations of 3 dukes, wielding immense power. Our mansion was just one street away. I could faintly smell the blood in the air, mingled with piercing screams. This became the Duke of Wei affair that shook the court and the realm. The Duke of Wei's crimes were too numerous to list, his downfall was well-deserved. It had happened in my previous life too. But what shocked me was that in that past life, the Duke of Wei's mansion was raided 7 years later. And the one who sent the Duke of Wei to prison was none other than Gu Jingyan. By then, my elder sister had already passed away. Not long after the Wei Marquis's residence was raided, Gu Jingyan also died. I couldn't make sense of it. Why had the Wei Marquis case been brought forward by so many years? My elder sister and I had been reborn. Aside from our marriage, everything else unfolded exactly as it had in the previous life. This time, my elder sister's fate had changed, but what of Gu Jingyan's destiny? Was his death inevitably linked to the confiscation of the Wei Marquis's estate? Feeling troubled, I intended to seek my sister out for conversation, but her severe morning sickness lately likely left her too drained for it. Rain fell heavily at the end of midsummer, washing away the bloodstains. Gu Jingyan had been staying in the palace for several consecutive days. Outside, thunder roared and lightning flashed as wind and rain lashed the air. He would surely not return tonight. After the second watch, movement stirred outside the door. Gu Jingyan came through the downpour, the steward jogging behind him, umbrella held aloft. By the time he entered the room, the hem of his brocade robe was soaked through. Hair from his temples clung to his face, and stubble was faintly visible on his chin. "Why haven't you slept yet?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "I never noticed before when I slept alone, but without you here, it suddenly feels unfamiliar." My words were stark and direct. He paused, his deep eyes slowly igniting with a heat that threatened to set the world ablaze. I didn't care. I rushed forward and clung tightly to him. Gu Jingyan carried the pleasant scent of agarwood, mingled with the freshness of rain. His hot breath brushed against my skin, not hiding anymore. He returned my embrace, burying his head in my shoulder and chuckling softly. "Last time you teased this prince and ran off. How heartless of you." Now I had to take a cold shower. I pushed him away, feeling a bit aggrieved. "You're heartless too. All these days, you only sent word through messengers, leaving me worried sick." I feared his death in my past life was connected to the Wei Duke's mansion, dreaded that misfortune might strike him, and worried he couldn't escape the fate awaiting him 7 years later. Love breeds worry, love breeds fear. It was precisely this anxiety that confirmed my feelings for him. Dark currents swirled in his eyes as he kissed my lips with near frenzy, sweeping me from the doorway to the bed. His stubble tickled my chin. I felt a flutter of nervousness and murmured, "I don't ask much." "Don't force yourself." He helped me remove my hairpins and outer robe, smiling as he said, "I won't force myself." I blinked in surprise. Had he finally been cured this lifetime? Instead, he simply tucked me under the covers, lay down beside me fully clothed, and said in a hoarse voice, "Little star, don't tempt me. I've been pulling all-nighters at the Ministry of Justice these past few days. I'm exhausted." I blinked again. Was he still the same as before? Gu Jingyan seemed hurt by my gaze. He scrambled upright and demanded sternly, "What's that look? Doubting your husband?" Before I could answer, he'd already pulled back my quilt and slipped inside. "What are you doing?" I gasped in surprise. He slipped the jade ring from his index finger and set it aside. His Adam's apple bobbed as his deep voice rumbled, "To consummate our marriage." My gasp was stifled by his steady hold. His breath came in heavy gasps as his kisses rained down, his teeth tearing open my inner robe, stripping me bare like a fresh lychee shelled from its husk. Moonlight flowed like water, red candles shed tears. Tonight, like our wedding night, the moonlight was exquisite. I drifted with his rhythm through the sea of desire, sometimes like a sudden storm, sometimes like a gentle drizzle. Gu Jingyan started tenderly but grew fiercer. Sweat slid down his chest onto his abs, finally dripping into hidden places. Tears welled in my eyes as I pleaded, "Please, be gentler." He bit my earlobe and chuckled softly, "Can't take it already? What will we do in the future?" I was speechless, tears welling in my eyes. This was what he meant by "I'm too exhausted tonight." This was what my elder sister meant by "the Regent Prince is no good." They were all liars. The next day, I didn't rise until late morning. Gu Jingyan had already gone to the palace, having instructed the kitchen to prepare a bitter, nourishing soup for me beforehand. My body ached terribly, yet my mind grew increasingly clear, bringing to light things I'd long ignored. On our wedding night, Gu Jingyan had asked outright, "Is it you?" He clearly knew I was Shenwanqing back then, even though he'd never seen me in this lifetime. In this life, the decline of the Wei Duke's mansion had come a full 7 years earlier. The Wei Duke was Gu Jingyan's greatest lifelong rival, which worked to his advantage. And in the previous life, he had married only my elder sister as his legitimate wife, taking no secondary consorts or concubines. As a normal man, if there were no hidden circumstances, why would he tell his legitimate wife that he had a hidden ailment? After he finished handling the case involving the Duke of Wei's mansion, he finally had some free time. On a night when the stars shone brightly, we shared a cup of wine under the flowering quince trees. Gu Jingyan clearly had ulterior motives, his hands wandering over my body. "Don't be angry. That night was my fault. I didn't want to sleep in the study anymore." I pinched his chin and glared at him fiercely. "Gu Jingyan, you liar. You hid it so well." He feigned hurt. It was clearly the princess consort who spread rumors behind my back about my health, ruining my reputation. He rubbed his cheek against mine. "Besides, aren't you equally adept at hiding your true feelings?" "True enough." I snorted coldly, "Then let's confess together." "Agreed. In my past life, I married Zhang Rang. In my past life, I missed you." We spoke simultaneously, both laying bare our truths. He had reincarnated too. But while his words were declarations of love, mine sounded oddly blunt. His lips twitched, yet he asked hopefully, "This lifetime, why did you choose me?" "First, I ruled out Zhang Rang. So I married you." He was momentarily speechless. "I had questions of my own. You and my sister were husband and wife in our past life. Are you still unable to let go of her in this one?" "Out of thin air. Absurd." Gu Jingyan's expression was agitated, though his composure flickered unnaturally. "In our past life, she and I. We. I sipped my tea. As regent, you had complete authority over your marriage. When the imperial decree arrived, you didn't refuse. That proves you were willing to marry my sister." Gu Jingyan gazed at me with a haunting look, then suddenly smiled. It was a smile that sent shivers down my spine. "So my little star is jealous." He wrapped his arm around my shoulder and spoke slowly. "I never paid much attention to romantic affairs, nor did I understand the nature of love. That's why I never took the initiative regarding marriage. I figured everyone must marry eventually. Since I hadn't met someone I truly loved, it didn't matter who I married. Besides, I felt I owed Shenxue from my past life. By marrying her this time and treating her well, I could make amends. Little did I know, when the veil was lifted, it was you." Recalling that moment, Gu Jingyan's eyes sparkled with a distant light. "Your Highness," I thought to myself, "isn't this the wife of Zhang Rang, the newly crowned top scholar and Hanlin Academy academician from my past life? How did she become my consort?" I pounded his chest, seething, "How dare you? You didn't expose me right then and there." At first, I suspected some treacherous scheme. But then I saw you secretly eating peanuts and thought, what kind of plot could a little glutton concoct? Later, overhearing your private conversation with Xiao Cui, I learned you and Shunshui had the audacity to secretly swap brides. That's when I guessed you two had reincarnated too. Shunshui choosing another husband is for the best. She's a fine woman, but I feel only regret toward her, not love. I shook his arm, impatient to ask, what about me? What about me? I knew the answer already, but I still wanted to hear him say it himself. Perhaps it was not the wine that intoxicated him, but his own state of mind. After 3 or 2 cups, a faint blush spread across Gu Jingyan's face. Bathed in moonlight, he possessed a uniquely captivating charm. Watching you skip about the palace like a joyful little rabbit, seeing you carefree after eating your fill, observing you devour watermelon without a care, or crossing your legs while scolding Xiao Cui. Your adorableness lifts my spirits. His voice brimmed with doting affection and deep devotion. Thank goodness it was you. Thank goodness fate intervened, making you my wife. You endured hardship growing up. From now on, I will love and protect you. You shall never suffer again. Overwhelmed with emotion, my heart suddenly clenched in pain. I deliberately buried my face against his chest, fearing the tears welling in my eyes would spill. On our wedding night, I secretly ate peanuts and was scolded by Zhang Rang until I was red in the face, but Gu Jingyan thought I was simply innocent. I skipped and bounced when I walked, and ate with gusto. Zhang Rang would reproach me for lacking the grace of a proper lady. When I couldn't manage accounts, Zhang Rang only scorned my incompetence. Gu Jingyan, however, entrusted the vast regent's mansion to my care without hesitation, instructing the steward to teach me every detail of household management. Zhang Rang never considered why I lacked propriety. For only when the granaries are full do people learn propriety. As a lowly commoner's daughter, merely surviving was arduous enough. How could I spare energy for learning the arts or mastering formalities? The same actions that seemed crude to Zhang Rang appeared endearing to Gu Jingyan. Gu Jingyan cherished the pain of my past and treasures the person I am now. This must be what it feels like to meet the right person. After providing for my daily needs, he introduced me to a love I'd never known and romantic dreams I'd never dared to imagine. Just as I was moved by this, Gu Jingyan shattered the mood with a single remark. He gave me a hard pat on the back from behind, frowning thoughtfully. In my previous life, Shunshui probably never developed feelings for this prince, right? She couldn't have broken this prince's heart so badly that she deliberately chose Zhang Rang this lifetime, someone who's nothing like me. I couldn't bear to listen. Wiping the few remaining tears on his robe, I glared up at him. Don't flatter yourself, Gu Jingyan. In the past life, my sister only wanted your body, at most, she wanted a child. Then what did you want from this prince? Food. Very well. He smiled in agreement. This prince will feed you. Feed me until I'm full. He scooped me up horizontally, carrying me from the flower hall to the bedchamber. He slipped off his jade ring and took me to the mountains of Wu. On his shoulder blade remained the crimson mark I'd clawed into him last time. Gu Jingyan kissed me soothingly, then slipped the jade ring back onto his finger. I thought it was over. He twirled the jade ring on his index finger, a wicked smile playing on his lips, then pressed me down again. It looks rather good on you. He was utterly wicked. After that, I could never look at that jade ring straight. He found new ways to torment me again. Afterward, he held me close and whispered, in our past life, I only knew you married Zhang Rang. I never paid you any mind. Did you live well? I gasped sharply, unsure how to respond. It was all tears. On our wedding night in the past life, Zhang Rang and I parted on bitter terms. Later, we either fought or sulked at each other. On the rare days we got along peacefully, Zhang Rang would sneak into my quarters at night. His face flushed slightly as he first performed a deep bow, then delivered a stilted speech. My lady, since our marriage, we have yet to consummate our union. Tonight, I wish to perform the rites of Zhou. Is that acceptable? He thought himself quite polite. I found it stifling. Such matters should unfold naturally when the mood is right. His overly formal request left me utterly at a loss. Was I supposed to answer yes? It felt bizarre, like following a rigid procedure. Still, I spared his face and didn't refuse. I gave a soft humph. Zhang Rang frowned. If you're unwilling, just say so plainly. No need for this. He stormed off again. This left me in a foul mood too. Later, Zhang Rang decided to lecture me straight up. My lady, I am not forcing you, nor am I a depraved man by nature. But of the three great disgraces to filial piety, failing to produce an heir is the greatest. If we cannot bear children, I shall have no face to meet our ancestors in the afterlife. As a woman, don't you know bearing children is your duty? Hearing this only irritated me further. I don't know. Your Confucius, Mencius, and Laozi never taught me, and the sages' texts don't explain how to conceive. I told him to leave, shooing him away while hurling insults. Fine, fine. Just take a concubine, find someone willing to bear your child. Rest assured, I won't mistreat her. Once she gives birth, I'll even tend to her during her confinement. That's how it was. Gu Jingyan, seeing my ever-changing expressions, grew even more curious. He raised an eyebrow. Disharmony? No, I admitted frankly. We never had that sort of thing. He couldn't believe it. I recounted our chaotic past. After listening, he laughed so hard he pounded the bed. Ha 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 ha. We never even kissed, I added. For a couple drifting apart, a single kiss would haunt us for nights. Gu Jingyan laughed even harder, nearly choking. I'd never seen him so amused. I changed the subject, but what exactly happened in your past life? I was referring to his hidden ailment. A shadow of darkness flashed in Gu Jingyan's eyes, but it quickly dissolved into the tenderness he directed at me. I'm in a good mood today. Let's not talk about that. He pulled me close. Don't ruin our mood. Autumn arrived in the blink of an eye, bringing the young emperor's 12th birthday. Gu Jingyan was the emperor's only blood relative. Before his death, the late emperor had personally entrusted him to assist in governing the court and raise the young emperor. Whether in the past life or this one, Gu Jingyan had always been diligent and devoted, pouring his heart and soul into his imperial nephew. The young emperor seemed to trust and depend on him deeply. I sat beside him at the head of the banquet table, alongside my elder sister and Zhang Rang. The song stage glowed warmly as zither strummed and sheng flutes blew. Though it was a celebratory feast, some veteran ministers inevitably turned to court affairs. They argued that while the Duke of Wei's crimes were undeniable, he remained the emperor's own uncle. They urged the Regent Prince to consider leniency. In my view, Gu Jingyan's sentencing according to the law was entirely appropriate. The Duke of Wei met a tragic end precisely because his crimes were grave. Knowing the law, why break it? 7 years after my previous life, at this very banquet, Zhang Rang displayed the audacity of a newborn calf unafraid of tigers. He confronted the Regent Prince on the spot, having already attained the highest position among ministers, and now having dealt with the Duke of Wei. Does your highness seek to monopolize all power? I tried to stop Zhang Rang, but how could he heed my words? The moment he spoke, the room fell deathly silent. Zhang Rang was demoted to a minor official at Yumen Pass, dragging me into suffering alongside him. In this life, at this moment, the ministers chatter incessantly. Gu Jingyan leaned back in his chair, his posture relaxed, idly twirling the jade ring on his finger. Minister Zhang of the Hanlin Academy, what is your view on this matter? I shot him a fierce glare. Wasn't this just looking for trouble? It didn't matter if you were making things difficult for Zhang Rang, but my sister was pregnant. Did you intend to settle a personal grudge by exiling her to Yumen Pass as well? I glanced over anxiously. Zhang Rang and my elder sister exchanged a look, nodding in silent understanding. Zhang Rang rose, speaking with measured composure. This humble official believes that laws must not be disregarded for personal reasons. The Regent Prince acted according to the law, handling matters fairly and justly. There is nothing improper about his actions. A heavy weight lifted from my heart. Compared to my previous life, Zhang Rang had made remarkable progress. I leaned close to Gu Jingyan's ear. Do you think Zhang Rang might have been reborn too? Gu Jingyan drew a long breath, his eyes narrowing dangerously. Probably not. I decided caution was best. There was no reason all three of us would have reincarnated while Zhang Rang alone had not. When fireworks lit up the sky outside, I seized my chance. My elder sister had gone to chat with the other ladies, leaving Zhang Ring alone by the riverbank. My curiosity got the better of me. I said, "Gu Jingyan, I'm going to test him out. Everything I say next will be insincere, don't get jealous." After that, I turned back and added, "If by chance I run into my elder sister and it causes misunderstandings, you have to vouch for me." Gu Jingyan shook his head helplessly, silently retreating to the bridge to keep watch for me. I glided over gracefully, drawing out my voice as I called to Zhang Ring, brother-in-law. Zhang Ring startled, bowing deeply. "Greetings, Regent Princess. No need for such formality. We're family, after all," I said with a sarcastic edge. "Besides, if my sister and I hadn't deliberately switched bridal palanquins back then, I should have been the one marrying you." Zhang Ring nearly jumped out of his skin, stumbling back 3 steps. His pupils dilated, his face turning deathly pale. "Your Highness, please don't joke like this." The switch was fate's will. Heaven opened its eyes, allowing a woman as wonderful as Shuyue to marry this humble Zhang. Which basically meant I wasn't good enough. I pursed my lips, a look of grievance on my face. Maybe in a past life, we were the ones who were husband and wife. Impossible. Zhang Ring was furious, lecturing me sternly. "You and I, a man and a woman alone together here, is already improper conduct. For your sister's sake, I won't tell the prince about today's incident. But from now on, I beg the princess consort to conduct herself with dignity." My eyes twinkled mischievously. "What do you think of Magistrate Lu's second daughter, Lord Zhang? She seems fertile as can be. Why not let me find a matchmaker to introduce her to you as a concubine?" Magistrate Lu's second daughter was the concubine I'd arranged for him in my past life, the one who bore him 2 children in 3 years. Nonsense. Zhang Ran gasped for breath, clutching his chest. I never imagined 2 sisters from the same noble house could differ so greatly in character. Shuyue married me despite my lowly origins. I must devote myself to loving her and elevating her life. How could I take another concubine? That would be utterly heartless. Princess Regent, cease uttering such nonsense. He swept his sleeves and stormed off, his footsteps rapid. Knowing Zhang Ring remained devoted to my elder sister put my mind at ease. Returning to the bridge, I was about to speak with Gu Jingyan when my elder sister approached. After months apart, her abdomen had grown slightly rounded. I twitched my lips. Had she perhaps witnessed the earlier scene? Before I could explain, she smiled. "My dear sister is mischievous. I've long wondered, since my husband has no memories of our past life, how could everyone be like us, granted a second chance?" I chuckled proudly, pointing at Gu Jingyan. "My husband has been reborn." Shin Shuyue paused, taken aback. How awkward it felt for former spouses to meet again. Gu Jingyan remained composed, clasping his fists in a bow. "My apologies, elder sister. In our past lives, due to various circumstances, I failed to treat you with the respect you deserved. Nor did I treat you poorly. Your courtesy is excessive, Your Highness." My elder sister returned the gesture with grace. They exchanged a smile, and the knots of their past lives dissolved. Zhang Ring appeared out of nowhere, having overheard our conversation, his face blank with confusion. "What were you 2 saying? Did something happen? What's going on here?" Fireworks bloomed one after another in the sky. The 3 of them covered their mouths, laughing in unison. After the palace banquet, I didn't want to ride in the carriage. Instead, I strolled outside the palace grounds hand in hand with Gu Jingyan. The night was beautiful, but the streets were too crowded. Gu Jingyan disliked such crowds and wanted to be alone with me. "Issue the order, curfew." Moments later, only the 2 of us remained on the streets. He suddenly asked, "What do you think of my emperor nephew?" I replied, "He shows you great respect, but his excessive obedience isn't a good thing. His current fear and suspicion will inevitably turn into resentment later. He fears me deeply and never truly believes I'd serve him wholeheartedly." Gu Jingyan spoke of his imperial elder brother, the late emperor. They had shared a deep bond since childhood, and on his deathbed, the late emperor had even entrusted his son to Gu Jingyan's care. What seemed like trust was actually a calculated move. In my previous life, I discovered the poison in my body far too late. My brother feared I would seize his son's throne. He poisoned me with an incurable toxin and allowed the Duke of Wei's power to grow, using it against me. I concealed my poisoning, presenting a facade of normalcy to the outside world. Not even your sister knew. My body grew utterly weak, sustained only by daily potions. I clung to life for 7 agonizing years, crushing the Duke of Wei's estate, desecrating my brother's tomb, only to learn on my deathbed that my nephew would never bury me in the imperial mausoleum. My heart ached at his words. So this was what he meant when he told his elder sister he was ill. So he had married his elder sister without consummating the union, knowing full well his days were numbered. Even living had become an immense struggle for him. Gu Jingyan clasped my hand, his palm warm. It's all right now. I wasn't poisoned in this life, and the Wei Duke's mansion has fallen. What about the Emperor? He looked at me and smiled. Once he comes of age, he'll discover he's incapable of consummating the marriage, unable to produce an heir. Gu Jingyan smiled, all thanks to the inspiration you gave me. I found myself both laughing and crying. In this second life, my elder sister and I had merely secretly swapped husbands. Yet Gu Jingyan had secretly orchestrated so much. Thankfully, everything turned out for the better. When the Emperor has no heir, Gu Jingyan is his only blood relative. I still need to bear a child. Thinking of the events of the past few nights, my legs grew weak. Gu Jingyan thought I was tired from walking and kindly asked, "Shall we switch to a carriage?" "No need." "Then shall I carry you?" I agreed with a smile, wrapping my arms around his neck from behind as he effortlessly lifted me onto his back. The road stretched long ahead. At its end lay the Regent's mansion, our home. My past life faded like fleeting clouds, all that bitterness and sorrow had finally become history. The green mountains remained unchanged, the stars and moon shone brilliantly. The person before me was the one my heart cherished. The story ends here. Thank you all for your companionship. See you in the next chapter.